Hello and welcome to My Piano Method with me, Michelle Orp. This is my beginner to grade course, lesson 17. We're going to look at some more articulation markings now. We have looked at articulation before. We learned legato and staccato, but there are a few more we need to be aware of at this level. So let's take a look. So there are 6 articulation and expression symbols that I think you should be aware of at this stage. You might not come across them very often, but it's good to know what they mean if you do. Now the first 2 you've actually already learned. We did this back in lesson number 9. That was staccato, which is the little dot, which means you play the note detached. And there was legato, which means to play the notes smoothly. And this is when you see the slur. So the next one you need to learn is the fermata. So this is actually a pause symbol, and you'll probably hear it called a pause symbol. All you do is pause on the note. So you're holding the note for slightly longer than the duration that is written down. And I'm going to give you some examples in a minute. The next one is an accent. Now all you do for an accent is just put a bit of emphasis on the note. So you're going to play it a bit stronger. And for the accent, we're doing this nice and shortly, so it's a shorter emphasis. The next one, which is a marcato, this is the same thing as an accent. You're going to emphasise the note a bit, but you're just going to hold it for a bit longer, so it's a longer emphasis. And again, I'll demonstrate these in a moment. And the last one is the pedal sign. So this is when we are using our pedal, which sustains the sound of the note without us having to hold it down with our fingers. So here's what all these would look like on the sheet music. So a staccato, you know what this looks like. It's a little dot above or below the note. The legato, to play the note smoothly, is just that little curved line between 2 different notes. Remember, if the curved line is under 2 notes that are the same, that's a tie. So don't get confused between the 2. Now the fermata, which I've put here, you can see it's like a little half moon with a dot in the middle. So that's the pause. To be honest, you probably won't hear it called a fermata. You'll just hear it called a pause symbol. We then have the accent. So this is a little triangle pointing to the right that goes above the note. Then you have the marcato, which again is a little triangle, but it's just turned the other way. So it looks like a little top hat. There's a nickname for this, especially with brass instrument players. They tend to call it cap. So they'll say, oh, cap that note, because they want you to put an emphasis on it. And for the pedal, you'll see a little ped sign. So that's P-E-D. And then there'll be a bracket under the notes they want you to hold the pedal down for. So let's listen to all of these. So the top one, staccato. You should have heard this quite a few times. It's nice and detached. Nice and detached, whereas the legato is obviously nice and smooth. Now the fermata, which has the pause symbol at the end of it, means we're just holding that note for a little bit longer. So these are quarter note beats, so we're counting 2 beats to a bar, but we're just going to hold on to that last G for a bit longer. So it would sound like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you let go. So you're just holding it for a bit longer before you move on to the next piece of music. Now the accent, this is a quick emphasis, so it would sound like this. And the marcato is an emphasis again, but we're going to hold it for a bit longer. Okay, and the pedal, we're just going to hold the pedal down for as long as the bracket tells us to. Now, a lot of the time when you see this pedal sign, they'll probably want you to raise your foot off the pedal between bars. Not all the time, but a lot of the time that's usually what you'll see. So it will look like this. So it would sound like this. And that's just so the notes don't muddy into each other. The first one, it sounds just ever so slightly muddy. because you're playing the G, but you can still hear the F. Whereas in the second example, you can't hear the F because you're lifting your foot. So let's take a listen to what all of these sound like in a piece of music. So line 1. And now if I play line 2 with the pedal. So these types of changes to a piece of music can be very, very slight. And sometimes you may think, what's the point of even having them there? But even the slightest change on a piece of music can make such a difference. And when the composer's writing it, he has an idea in his head of what he wants you to play, and he has to be able to tell you that. So this is why we use these markings.